Gayton, McKenzie, do you want to see a free and sovereign Palestine?
Number one, there's no genocide happening there. Number two, no, let me answer you.
When children are starving, that's
no,
not
let
genocide.
me answer you. Don't tell me how I should answer you. Number two, let me tell you something. If I'm the president of this country, and let's say Lesotho comes here and they take hostages and they take children, and I will bomb Lesotho, and if they want peace, they must return the children. Nothing tells you about peace.
What happens in Israel, people from all over the world wants to compare to what happens to Israel, what's happening in their country. And obviously how the double standards are always there when it comes dealing with Israel. And here we have in South Africa, who they have dealt with their own issues. And it's just inspiring to be able to hear all the way from South Africa what their thoughts are of what's really happening at Gaza after what they have lived through.
Is what's happening in Gaza a genocide?
Well, I don't think that's up for any of us to be around this table to decide. We've got international organizations, the RCJ, who is tasked with adjudicating these things. All of us can have different viewpoints on whether what's happening there is a genocide or not. It's not up to us to decide. That is precisely why we have the RCJ, to make those determinations. And I've said very clearly from the beginning that we must respect the processes of the RCJ. We must respect the outcome of it, because that is now part of international law. And as a party that supports international law, we will abide by whatever the outcome is. But here's the thing. We don't need to wait however long it's going to take for the RCJ to make a decision about whether it's genocide, to agree that what's happening there needs to stop immediately. Ceasefire, we need parties to come to the table, and we need to work towards finding a lasting peace in there. That's not something we need to wait a year for the RCJ to decide. The reality is we need an independent, sovereign, unoccupied Palestine that's able to have its own self-determination, living alongside a safe, peaceful Israel with peace in the region. And that's what we should all be working towards, not waiting for all these outcomes. And I think Ramadan offers us the best opportunity to be able to make this clarion call now for a ceasefire. Let's get humanitarian aid in there, but let's also start looking for mature leadership in Palestine and in Israel to come together like we did in South Africa and negotiate a way forward so that they can have a lasting peace in the region.
So John, I would like to know if we wake up tomorrow and the DA has the majority, would you continue pursuing the ICJ case?
Well, the case has got to continue because the case has been laid and due process has got to follow. I don't think it would be in anyone's interest to withdraw the case, nor would you be able to do so. But what I would do is be making sure that South Africa is playing a constructive role in trying to bring people together. And I think we've got a unique offer to make to the Middle East, because we too are on the brink of a war situation in South Africa. And I think the miracle of the mature leadership that then emerged on both sides to be able to come to the negotiating table where we're able to negotiate a peaceful way forward. Bombing and continuing the bombardments is not going to get the hostages released. Negotiation is going to get the hostages released. Moving towards a situation where Israel can have a safe border with a free, unoccupied Palestine is going to be the subject of negotiation. And the sooner we can all work together to get those negotiations going, I think the better it's going to be for the region, and I think the better it's going to be for the world.
Gayton, McKenzie, do you want to see a free and sovereign Palestine?
Right. I think they lie when they say white men can't dance. John has been dancing around the question here. He's not been answering the question. Let me show him how you answer the question. No, let me answer the question. Number one, there's no genocide happening there. Number two, no, let me answer you.
When children are starving, that's
no,
not
let
genocide.
me answer you. Don't tell me how I should answer you. Number two, let me tell you something. If I'm the president of this country, and let's say Lesotho comes here and they take hostages and they take children. And I will bomb Lesotho. And if they want peace, they must return the children. Nothing tells you about peace. And if I become president, I will stop that case of the ICJ. Simply because the honorable minister pursues Israel. Yesterday, 22 people are shot here in Missos Plain. More than the IC, more than in Ramallah, in Palestine. They are wearing scarves of Palestine. While our people die here, more than Palestine. Today they say we must be enemy, Jewish people are the enemy. I grew up poor. It was a Jewish woman in Operation Hunger that was giving us food. It was the Jewish people that went to Mandela to jail. So nobody will tell me Hamas is a terrorist organization that should be destroyed totally. That's my stance. Hate me or love me.
And that was an amazing, passionate expression of how you feel, you know, living in South Africa and going through everything that you have gone through in South Africa and trying to compare it to the scenario that's been happening in Israel. Obviously, the world has played a double standard. I mean, the fact that they are using the name genocide. Where did the name genocide come from? Where was it coined? It was coined during World War II, what Hitler did, targeting a specific ethnicity, the Jewish religion, to wipe them out. That is the definition of genocide. How dare anyone compare what Hitler has done to 6 million Jews to what's happened in Gaza? If Israel wanted to commit genocide in Gaza, it could have done that on October 8th. It could have carpet bombed the whole Gaza and be done. Similar to what happened in Hiroshima, similar to what happened in Dresden. That's how wars end. It ends with the stronger, with the mightier, that teaches a lesson to the enemy that you're gone. That is a genocide. What's interesting is that the population in Gaza has not diminished during the 2 years of the war. Yes, there were many of deaths, both of the combatants, of the Hamas terrorists and their associates, and whatever collateral deaths that has occurred there. And the world needs to remember that what happened in Gaza was a war that no other country ever fought a war like this, and so strategically with precision operations to minimize as many casualties as possible. The great generals at West Point till today marvel on how did Israel was able to execute a 2-year war, and the numbers of deaths of combatants versus civilians are off the charts. They've never seen that in warfare. There should have been a lot more civilian deaths based on the amount of combatants we dealt with. What other country in the world goes to war after being attacked, after 1,200 innocent civilians were barbarically, in the most hideous type of depravity of torture, pain, rape, suffering, beheading, burning? Who could have nightmares that no one would ever could imagine would be like what they lived through that October 7th morning? How would any other country have responded to the aggressor? Israel did not ask for this war. Israel did not want war. This is a war that came to Israel, came in the most brutal way. Israel is always exceedingly careful to prevent civilian deaths or injuries. It goes through such painstakingly operations at greatest risks to itself to prevent civilian casualties. In total contrast with the enemy, with Hamas and all the Arab nations, when they fought Israel, they were targeting civilians. Iran sent their missiles to civilian buildings. Hamas targeted civilians at the border of Gaza. When the PLO and the Intifada sent their suicide bombers, blew up buses full of civilians, blew up a pizzeria, Sbarro, in the heart of Jerusalem during lunchtime to cause as many civilian deaths possible. Not only the buses that blow up, the bus stops that get rammed, the sniper shootings, it's all about civilians killing civilians. Why do the Arabs do that? Why are they targeting civilians and not military areas? Because they know how Israel values the life of a civilian. They know how different we are than them. To Hamas, civilians are disposable. They have zero value. They use them as human shields, and they have succeeded in their propaganda war to try to show how Israel's killing babies. You want to talk about killing babies? Have we forgotten the two beautiful redhead Bibas babies? Can we ever unsee the image of the mother clenching them for life when she was abducted with her two beautiful, beautiful, angelic redhead boys? Can anyone imagine the torture and pain and suffering? You're talking about baby killers? They killed those babies in their bare hands. And they paraded their bodies in coffins at a parade, showing them off. And thousands of Palestinians are cheering them on when they finally return them to Israel. Talking about baby killers. Israel does everything possible to prevent collateral damage. But the war that it faced is a war like no other country has ever faced. And if you put it in proportionate, if this would have happened on the border of America, I live here in San Diego, California. Just 40 miles south is Mexico. If the Mexican cartel would have breached San Ysidro, the neighboring city in the United States of America, and you would have equivalently killed 40,000 Americans on one day, and taken another 250,000 or 10,000 hostages, what do you think America would have responded? You think Tijuana to La Paz would still exist? Any other country would have responded very differently the way Israel has. And that's something which we need to understand. Accusing Israel of war crimes, going to the ICGC and finding charges against Bibi Netanyahu and Israel for war crimes, these are war crimes. What about Hamas? What Hamas did on October 7th, is that not a war crime? What about what they continue to do to terrorize those that are living in Gaza? It's the only war where the civilians couldn't flee. Any other war that happens, civilians just pack up their bags and leave to a safe haven, and either they do or don't come back. Gazans were prohibited from leaving. Egypt sealed its borders, so no one should ever enter Egypt. This is their own brothers. Any of the Arab countries offered asylum, offered refugee to come? No, that did not happen, because no one wants them. Everyone knows that they are trouble. They are troubled because generation after generation were brought up about death to be a death cult. And no one, even the most moderate Arab country, knows the truth. And that's why they haven't invited them. So as complex as the issue is, it's quite clear it's either dark or lightness. We see where the light is, we see where the darkness is. We have a nation, Israel, who is obsessed with life, and you have a nation of jihadist Islamists, who is a death cult, who's obsessed with death. And until that changes, the war will continue. Let's pray to God that they get to see the light. Please kindly subscribe to our channel so a little bit of light will push away a lot of darkness. God bless you. God loves you.